Students, I am Aditya Chakraborty, lecturer in electrical engineering of Sri Ramakrishna Institute of Science and Technology. Today, I am going to discuss about the part 4 lecture of circuit interrupting device. So, the first slide is air blast circuit breaker. So, what is air blast circuit breaker or what is ABCB? So, abbreviation of air blast circuit breaker is ABCB. So, air blast circuit breaker used compressed air or gas as the arc interrupting medium. So, here the compressed air or high pressure air or gas is used to sweep the arc physically. In the air blast circuit breaker, compressed air is stored in a tank and released through a nozzle to produce a high velocity jet. This is used to extinguish the arc. Air blast circuit breaker are used for mainly indoor services in the medium high voltage field and medium rupturing capacity. It is used generally up to voltage of 15 kV and rupturing capacity of 2500 MVA or megavolt ampere. The air blast circuit breaker is now employed in high voltage circuit also in case of outdoor switchyard, or you can say in case of outdoor substation for 220 kV or 2,20,000 voltage lines. Though gases such as carbon dioxide, nitrogen, freon or hydrogen are used as the arc interrupting medium, but actually in air blast circuit breaker, the arc interrupting medium or arc extinguished medium used is compressed air. The accepted circuit breaking medium for gas blast circuit breaker are not easy to use due to the following reasons. The circuit breaker capacities of nitrogen are similar to compressed air and hence no advantage of using it. Carbon dioxide has the drawbacks of its being difficult to control owing to freezing at valves and other restricted passages. Freon has high dielectric strength and good arc extinguishing property, but it is so much expensive and it is disintegrated by the air into acid forming elements. So for that very reason, mainly compressed air is used in air blast circuit breaker. So now the next slide is a different type of classification of air blast circuit breaker. So all air blast circuit breaker follows the principle of separation. Their contacts in a flow of arc established by the opening of a blast valve or a couple of blast valve. The arc which is drawn is usually rapidly positioned centrally through a nozzle where it is kept to fixed length and is subjected to the maximum range by the air flow. The air blast circuit breakers, according to the type of flow of blast of compressed air around the contacts, are of three types, namely, first one is the axial blast circuit breaker, the second one is the radial blast circuit breaker, and the last one is the cross blast circuit breaker. So these are the different types of ABCB or air blast circuit breaker. So now the first one is the axial blast circuit breaker. So here you can see the image or axial blast circuit breaker. This is the fixed contact and this is the moving contact which is operating by the help of relay, and this is the blast effect of axial blast effect, or the axially charged air or compressed air is flowing through the path from the reservoir by the help of the valve. Okay, so that is the axial blast circuit breaker. So the contacts are separated and arc is developed between them. The air flowing at a great speed axially along the arc cause removal of heat from the edge of the arc, and the diameter of the arc reduced to very small value at current 0, then the arc is extinguished properly. Okay. And so in case of axial blast circuit breaker, the arc is interrupted by the help of the axial blast effect of the air, and the space between the contact is flushed with fresh air flowing through the nozzle. Okay, and the flow of fresh air removes the hot gases between the contact space, or you can say remove the ionized gases between the contact space, and rapidly build up the dielectric strength between them, or dielectric strength between two contacts, that means between fixed contact and moving contact. That is the axial blast type air blast circuit breaker. Now the next one is the radial blast type circuit breaker, or radial blast type air blast circuit breaker. So here you can see the image of radial blast type circuit breaker. So these are two contacts. This is the fixed contact and this is the fixed contact, and this is the moving contact, and the air are charged radially from this side and from this side, and this side, and it extinguishes the ionized gas or ionized medium between the fixed contact and moving contact, and hence the arc is extinguished. So now the explanation of radial blast circuit breaker. In the air blast circuit breaker, the flow of air is longitudinal along the arc. So air blast breaker may be single blast or double blast. Breaking employing double blast arrangement are sometimes called radial blast circuit breaker, as the air blast flows rapidly into the nozzle or space between the contacts. So here you can see the double blast effect is taken account. Double blast means from this two side of reservoir the air has come between the contacts and extinguished the arc. So that is the radial blast. It is the very efficient type of air blast circuit breaker, that is radial blast circuit breaker. And next one is the cross blast circuit breaker. So same like axial blast, you can see two numbers of contacts. One is fixed contact and moving contacts. Okay, and these contacts are lying in a vertical position, and that is the fixed contact, and that is the fixed contact, and that is the moving contact, and air blast effect is charged from the horizontal side. So there is a cross blast effect happening, and for that very reason the arc is extinguished by the help of cross air blast. So in such breakers, an arc blast is directly at right angles to the arc, or if the contacts are in vertical position, then the arc blast is charged from the horizontal position. The schematic representation of the cross principle of circuit breaker is given in the figure. A moving contact arm is operated in closed space to draw an arc which is forced by a transverse blast of air into the splitter plates, thereby lightening it to the point when it cannot restrike after zero current. So resistance switching is not normally required as lightning of arc automatically introduce some resistance to control the restriking voltage transient, but if extra resistance is thought desirable, it is possible to introduce it by connecting it in the section across the arc splitter. Okay, so actually here the arc splitter mechanism has come. Actually, when the arc is flowing through this path, when the arc is flowing through this path or through this vertical path, this blast effect act as arc splitter also. So there is no resistance switching is used to minimize the arc. Resistance switching means by the help of the resistance the arc is minimized, but the arc splitter, this blast effect is act as arc splitter. So not only the arc is extinguished by the compressed air, but it is also splitted, so the arc is properly extinguished in that system. So closed blast system of air blast circuit breaker is also a very efficient system. And now the principle of arc extinction. The air blast needs an additional compressed air system which supplies air to the air reservoir. When opening air is required, compressed air is admitted to the arc extinction chamber. So air blast system must need some compressed air, okay, for doing the blast effect. It pushes away the moving contact. In doing so, the contacts are pulled apart and the arc and the air blast moves away the ionized gas or to the arc along with it and assist arc extinction. And the fixed and moving contacts are kept in a closed portion or a closed position by spring pressure under normal operating condition. The air reservoir tank is connected to the arc chamber through an air valve and which is opened by a triple impulse. When the fault occurs, the tripling impulse causes opening the air valve connecting the reservoir to the arcing chamber. Okay, that means when the moving contact is opened from the fixed contact, then the tripling impulse causes opening of the air valve connecting with the reservoir to the arcing chamber, and the air entering the arc chamber exerts pressure on the moving contact, which moves when the air pressure exceeds the spring force. So when the spring force pressure is exceeds, then the moving contact moves, okay, and the air entering the arc chamber exerts pressure on the moving contact. An air blast extinguishes the arc within one or more cycles, and the arc chamber is filled with high pressure air which prevents restrikes. The air blast circuit breaker fall under the category of external extinguished energy type. Actually, the valve are fitted in the external side of the circuit breaker, so that is the external extinguished type or external extinguishing energy type circuit breaker. Okay, so that is the principle of arc extinction of ABCV or air blast circuit breaker. And that's all for today. Thank you.